to this young boy and Arne Johnson was indeed diabolical possession.
The court accepts the existence of God every time a witness swears to tell the truth. I think it's about time they accept the existence of the devil.
Hello guys, namaste, welcome back to my channel. This is Amisha Singh Chauhan, and if you're new here and you're looking for something fun, dark and mysterious, then you're at the right place. So do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also hit that bell icon so that every time I'm here with something new to talk about, you'll get to know about it. So anyone who knows me knows that how obsessed I am with ghost stories or paranormal stuffs. And the reason why I'm using the word obsessed is because that intense is my obsession. And the reason, again I'm repeating, it sounds like I'm repeating myself. The reason why I'm talking about this genre is because the case we're going to talk about is linked to paranormal supernatural stuffs. Today we will be talking about the Devil Made Me Do It case. And yes, if you're thinking that if it's anywhere linked to the newly released Conjuring movie, then yes, you're right. The movie Conjuring 3 is based on this case. So without any further ado, let's dig in. So what happened is that on 16th of February 1981, Arne Johnson stabbed his landlord to death with a 5-inch pocket knife. After which he was discovered almost 3.2 kilometers away from the site where the murder took place. Now, the thing is that the very next day after the murder, Lorraine Warren, the world-famous clairvoyant, she called the Brookfield police. By the way, this took place in Brookfield, Connecticut, United States of America. So Lorraine Warren called the Brookfield police and told them that when the murder took place, Arne Johnson was demonically possessed. So let's rewind a little bit and find out various events that took place which led to Arne Johnson being demonically possessed and what made and what exactly happened on 16th of February 1981. So all of the supernatural and paranormal stuff, it started from David Gletzel. David Gletzel was actually Arne Johnson's fiancée Debbie's younger brother who was 11 at the time. So David was the first one who saw the beast. That is what the young boy used to call the demon. So what happened is that Arne and Debbie, they actually were taking up this rental property. So Debbie's mother, along with the other siblings, they decided to help Arne and Debbie to set up the entire house, with cleaning and everything. Now, what happened is that when they arrived at the rental property, all the kids, like typical kids, they just scattered around and they started exploring the house. David went inside this one bedroom and this bedroom had a waterbed. Now, this is the exact place where David remembers that this old man appeared and this old man started scaring and pushing him around. He also remembers that this old man actually vowed to hurt everyone who was inside the house if they did not leave then. He was really terrified. He immediately went to his mom and he started complaining and requesting her to actually move out of the house. But at the time, not only the mother but everyone just thought that David was making up these stories so as to avoid doing the chores. Now, a side note over here, much later the family realizes that actually on that day, they remember hearing some noises coming from the attic, but they just did not give it much of a thought. And David was the only one who saw the old man that day. Now, like I said, they did not care what David was talking. They just felt like he was just making up stories. And after this, when they got back home from all the cleaning up and settling down the rental property, David saw this old man again. But the difference was that the old man was burned this time and he looked much scarier to that poor younger boy. Now, he again complained about this, but then they just thought that, he was just elaborating and exaggerating this make-up story that he had in his mind. Now, day by day, things got worse. He would have bruises and scars on his body and they were unexplainable. In a lot of occasions, the mother and Debbie, they themselves saw him getting strangulated by invisible hands. Like they could not see what was strangulating and choking this 11-year-old poor boy. But all of a sudden after that, he would have scars on his body. He would have spasms, he would have seizure attacks, and there were like a lot of other stuffs happening. And the condition got so worse that they actually requested Arne, who was like really close to David, and oftentimes he would help them. So Debbie, along with her mom, they requested Arne to move in. But day by day, things were getting just worse. Initially, David would have all of these weird activities only during the night, but then it increased to day as well. So no matter what time of day it was, he was having these demonic possessions. I don't know what exactly is the term to use over here for the activities. I don't know, it's kind of a side effect of demonic possession. I hope you're getting me over here. So anyways, the point being over here is that things got worse, and it came to such an extent that people realized that yes, definitely there's something wrong, because then only they decided to get Arne inside the house. Also, they went to a Catholic priest over here. So the Catholic priest arrived at the house and he decided to bless the house. But that did not help, because the house was not the problem over here. Now, exactly 12 days after the incident as in when David saw this old man in the rental property, they contacted world-renowned self-proclaimed demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren.
We were contacted by Father Dennis, who at that time was pastor of St. Joseph's Church in Brookfield, Tony. And the call came in, and he spoke about a young boy who he had been trying to help, but recognized it as a case of possession.
Now, when the Warrens got to know about this news, about these incidents, they also heard about the another information that David actually had slight learning disabilities. So they actually consulted a doctor because they wanted to get everything aside. They wanted to be sure that these things that were happening was actually supernatural or something paranormal, not a side effect of any medication or treatment that David was undergoing, which was proven. So when they first met David, they actually had this doctor, and the doctor confirmed that all of these things that David was suffering was not a side effect of any of the medications that he was taking, if he was taking. So that thing got sorted. Another thing to be mentioned over here is that Lorraine Warren, she remembers that the first time she met David, at the time David was actually talking with Ed. They were having a conversation, and that is when she noticed this black mist beside him, and it was an indication that there was a malevolent presence. So they were confirmed that there was some kind of negative energy that was present around David. Now, after which, as they understood the various condition and the suffering that David was going through, they decided that David should get exorcism, and that is when they consulted with the church, and they got around 4 to 5 priests to help them with all of this. David in the end was subjected to 3 exorcisms. Initially, the Warrens thought that there was only one devil or one demon involved. But during these sessions, they got to know that in fact there were more than 40 demons involved in this case, which was very frightening. I can't even imagine. If it's true, then I can't even imagine what David might be going through. Now, David during these times was also showing a lot of demonic abilities. One of them was precognition, and especially in regards with the manslaughter that Arne Johnson would be later committing. Now, during one of these sessions, like I've mentioned before, that Arne had a very special bond with David, and he felt really frustrated. He was really mad that such a young boy was exposed to such cruelties. So out of frustration, I don't know what exactly was going through his mind, but he just challenged the demon. He just challenged all these spirits, and to be exact, he said, "Take me on and leave my little buddy alone."
He made a fatal mistake. One night he said, "Take me on. Leave my little buddy alone."
The Warrens were not happy with this thing, and definitely a lot of things changed after this. For instance, there was this one particular incident that took place. Arne was walking and he was on a tree, and that is when he fell down from the tree. Thankfully, it was not fatal. He was not really severely injured. And a side note over here, shockingly, David had mentioned this incident days before it actually took place. Now, out of curiosity, Arne Johnson went to a well which was present in the rental property. Again, it is something that the Warrens had strictly warned him to not to do so, but he still did. So when he reached the well, he peeped inside the well and he made a direct eye contact with the demon over there, after which he was possessed. Now, he started showing the same signs and same symptoms that David was showing when he was demonically possessed, and this really worried Debbie. So they made a decision that they would move out of Debbie's mom's house and they would start renting up this place. So that is when they met Alan Bono, who was new to the town. He was also a dog groomer. He had his own dog kennel, and that is where Debbie started working. So Alan Bono was not only the landlord but also Debbie's boss. Now, during this time, things got worse for Arne Johnson. He would complain about seeing this very same old man that David said that he was seeing then. Also, he would sometimes just go into this trance-like state. He would start hallucinating. He would start growling like some kind of an animal, beast maybe. And then he would just snap out of this phase and he couldn't just remember anything that he would have done during that phase. Now, this really worried Debbie. She feared that after Arne challenged the spirits, even he was demonically possessed.
When you challenge the demonic, it doesn't act at that particular given time, Tony. It waits until you are the most vulnerable.
Now let's jump to the day of the killing. That is on 16th of February 1981. Now on this day, Arne Johnson, he called in sick to his job at Right Tree Service, after which he decided to tag along Debbie to her workplace along with his sister Wanda, and they were also accompanied by 9-year-old Mary, who was Debbie's cousin. So when they reached the place, Alan Bono decided that he would take the entire group out for a lunch to a local bar where he drank a lot. After they came back home, Debbie decided to take all the girls for pizza. She did take them for pizza, but then she was really worried and she felt like there was something wrong going to happen. So she came back really soon and she found Alan Bono completely intoxicated and very agitated. So she asked everyone to leave the room. Everyone did except Alan Bono, who would not let go of Mary. So she asked him to let her go, but he wouldn't do so. So Arne got into the scene and he ordered Alan Bono to let go of Mary. Now Wanda reports all of these things to the police. So according to Wanda, things got so worse, things got so violent that Debbie had to go stand in between these two men so as to mitigate the entire situation. Also, Wanda herself was trying to pull off Arne from Alan Bono. And meanwhile, little Mary, she ran away from Alan to the car. Now, things were not working well and it was a heated situation and all of a sudden, things just got out of control. And that is when Arne Johnson, he took out a 5-inch pocket knife from his pocket and repeatedly stabbed Alan Bono, which led to his death after a couple of hours. Now, like I said in the beginning, Alan Bono was discovered by the police 3.2 kilometers away from the site, and the Warrens contacted the police and informed them that when the crime was committed, Arne Johnson was demonically possessed. So let's talk about the trial now. Martin Manella, who was Arne Johnson's lawyer, initially he was not so sure about the entire demonic possession thing. But then later, he was convinced that if he would take the evidences that the Warrens had, then he would not only be able to prove Arne Johnson's innocence, but he would also be able to win the case. He even traveled to Europe to meet with lawyers who were involved in 2 similar cases. He also had an exorcism specialist to fly in from Europe. And he also threatened to subpoena the priests who were involved in David Gletzel's exorcism if they did not cooperate with the defense during the trials. The trials took place in Connecticut Superior Court in Danbury, beginning on 28th of October 1981. Now, during the initial period of the trial, the defense actually submitted a plea of not guilty by virtue of demonic possession. But the judge promptly rejected this defense because it was irrelative and unscientific. Now, the defense had no other option but to imply that Arne Johnson acted on self-defense. Now, after this, the jury deliberated for 15 hours and 3 days before convicting him on 24th of November 1981 of first-degree manslaughter, to which he was sentenced 10 to 20 years in prison, of which he only served 5 years because of his good records. Now, a little aftermath of this entire case. Now, in 1983, a book was published called The Devil of Connecticut, written by Gerald Brittle with Lorraine Warren's assistance. Now, according to the authors and the publishers, the profits were actually shared with the family. Now, when this book was reissued again in 2006, both David Gletzel and his brother Carl Jr. Gletzel sued the publications and the authors for violating their right to privacy. and also for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Now, the authors and the publications in their defense said that they had the approval of the family because the family themselves said that they wanted the world to know about this story. Now, to which the Gletzels said that they had never said that David was demonically possessed. Instead, the Warrens had promised them that they would become millionaires after their story get out in public. Also, Arne Johnson would be able to come out of prison soon. Now, on the other hand, both Arne Johnson and his wife Debbie, by the way, they got married when Arne was still in the prison. So Arne and his wife Debbie, they wholeheartedly support the Warrens and the story of demonic possession. And according to them, the Gletzels are doing this simply for monetary purposes. So we don't know what exactly is happening. If you ask me if I'm a believer or not, I would directly tell you guys that yes, I am a believer. I do believe that there are some negative energies and there are positive energies as well. I don't know if I can call them demons or devils or ghosts because frankly speaking, I myself had a personal experience, an acquaintance with the negative energy some years back. If you want to know about that incident, then do comment down below. I would love to tell you guys that story. But back to the case, the question is for you guys that do you believe that Arne Johnson was demonically possessed when he committed the crime, or was it just a plain simple cold-blooded murder? I would love to know your opinions. Also about the movie Conjuring 3, I've already watched it. It's quite interesting, but there are a lot of differences between the movie and what exactly happened. If you want me to make a video on the movie, my reviews and what all went wrong and how all it was different from the reality, then do comment down below. Also, if you found this video informative, then do hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. All of these small steps mean a lot to me as someone who creates these videos. It is a huge motivation for me. And most importantly, take care of yourself, be happy and be kind. Bye bye.